Hello and welcome to the How to Travel Vegan podcast. I'm your host, Tom Simak, and today we're interviewing Dec and Mal from plantbasedme.co. So yet another interview under the belt. Dec and Mal were amazing, and the stories that they told in this episode were really, really cool. So we're going to dive into topics like being a digital nomad and funding that and finding places to stay. I guess the line you draw with vegan businesses and how to find them. And lastly, we're going to touch a lot on how to find your purpose, especially if you want to become, as we said in the episode, a social influencer with quotation marks. And with all that being said, let's just dive right into the episode. Hey, Mel and Declan, welcome to the podcast. It is a pleasure to have you on board. How are you doing this afternoon?
Thank you so much for having us. We're really good today, except the smoke in Melbourne's not that good.
Yeah, you were saying before it was like 2-3K visibility.
Yeah, in Melbourne CBD, but where we are in Williams Landing, it's pretty bad as well.
It really affects my asthma, actually. I've been hitting the asthma pump like every hour or two.
You're joking.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we stop midway through, just
over here. And I just finished my preventer, so now I've just got the inhaler. But yeah, imagine people who are in like thick of it all. I mean, they must be having like serious asthma attacks.
Well, not to start the podcast off really morbid, but like last month in Sydney, there was like when you walked around, it was like smoking 30 ciggies a day. Just by walking around because the smoke was so intense there.
Right.
Yeah, I heard
so
like
bad.
tourists couldn't even see the Harbour Bridge. So there's like, why are we even coming to Sydney today?
Claiming travel insurance. Didn't get my trip. I even saw like an infrared shot from one of the satellites of Australia and it was like red. I'm like, it was just crazy. And it's gotten so much worse than what like we ever thought. And we don't get really affected by that stuff in Melbourne. Yeah. But even in Melbourne, when it's smoky, that's when you know it's bad.
Yeah.
Like a third of the koala's gone, like over 500 million animals. Like
so sad.
Yeah.
Climate change is real.
Yeah,
Plug on that. Go vegan. So to start us off, tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you met and your vegan journey as well.
All right. Well, firstly, we met. I was living in a shared house and Milena was friends with one of the girls that I was living with. And one night I came home at like 11 o'clock after work. I was a supervisor at a local cafe. And Milena was in my kitchen cooking mee goreng. And she said, "Hi there, I'm Milena. Would you like some mee goreng?" And so, of course, I said yes. I mean, who's not going to say yes? And it was the greatest mee goreng of my life. So
2 years later,
and we're still here together. Yeah.
It's not a romantic meeting or anything.
You still cook him mee goreng?
We try not to because it's so bad for you. But yeah, occasionally.
So your 1 year anniversary, let's have mee goreng.
It's beautiful.
And feel awful afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it. And we've been vegan since the beginning of last year.
Okay.
So I was actually vegetarian for 3 years before that. And then the year we met, Declan tried going vegetarian for like a week, but he went so sick for some reason.
What do you think you did wrong?
I think just generally I was sick as a human being. I was bodybuilding and then I kind of just stopped, but I kind of kept up like the diet and I was literally just eating meat and like nothing else, not even vegetables. So I was on like low carb, high protein.
You're on that Joe Rogan
but
diet,
like, something stupid like that. And I didn't, obviously at the time I didn't realize anything better. I just wanted to shred and cut weight and I thought that was how you did it at the time. Not healthily.
Just
and then
calories.
It was like probably a shock to my system that I was getting some nutrients in for once. Yeah, I just felt a bit ill.
But then you didn't know that then. Now you know that.
Yeah.
Now
because then we ate meat. After following that, I wasn't vegetarian anymore. You stopped.
Yeah.
And then we ate meat for a solid year before we went vegan last year. And that was the best decision ever because we're so healthy now.
I think a week leading up to us turning vegan, we're eating KFC like four times a week.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's not disgusting.
Like I was addicted to Zinger boxes. Like
Zinger
I'd be
boxes.
and then after I had a bigger appetite, I was like having wicked wings on top of my Zinger boxes and just eating so much.
Yeah.
And then while we actually watched Dominion, that's what made us go vegan, along with
whilst eating a KFC.
Whilst eating KFC, yeah.
Classic story. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty hectic.
We went vegan overnight, but then a week later we were having a meal with our friends, and I think we cheated and had like dairy or egg or something not vegan meal. And yeah, and from then on, that social interaction, we're like, and actually, we don't believe, we should be doing this, and we really changed over and haven't touched anything since.
Yeah.
Been fully vegan
So
since.
it took about a week.
Of one meal.
Of one mishap.
Yeah.
But then since then we haven't had any. Except for a random
Besides
accident.
that fought and stuff that you start telling like on
Yeah,
Saturday
except
night,
for like really like accidents. We didn't intentionally go to buy a vegan. Like on that time we did intentionally buy non-vegan food. But since then it's just been accidents like.
Well, it's funny. If your mum buys you a vegan, she thinks it's a vegan like pre-made meal and it's actually vegetarian and she bought it for you, do you eat it?
Oh, like, that's the dilemma. And I think it was James Aspie that was saying when he first started his vegan journey, he would be eating like scraps of people who didn't eat just because he didn't want it wasted. And the thing that he kind of realized is even though, yes, you don't want to waste the food because this animal literally gave its life for that food.
Yeah.
Right.
That's when it comes into like the health portion of things. And even though you're wasting it, you don't want to be adding that cholesterol to your body and the saturated
That's
fats.
exactly where we come from.
It's a really hard dilemma, but when you really consider the health implications of having something like that, especially when it would be easier to make that decision at the start of like a vegetarian or a vegan journey. But now, a year in for you guys or even more for some people, it's you can't justify it. But I have had the same thoughts because I get asked that question.
It's like, what do I do? You have this in your hands and like I can eat it or I can
You try to
throw
give
away.
it to someone and they're like, vegan food or something.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to chuck it
Well,
out.
we had that dilemma. I think
Yeah.
we thought they were vegan sausages, but they were vegetarian because they had mozzarella in them.
Oh,
And I ended up cooking them and then seeing this cheese come out of them. And I physically like felt sick because I didn't want to put the dairy into my body. And I ended up giving them to a family member instead because I already cooked up and ready to go. So what can you do?
And they ate them. So
They ate them, so it was fine.
I'm glad they ate them. I
didn't go to waste.
I think it was last year I was at an event with some friends and I didn't know what a brioche bun was. And I'm just like, this
butter bun.
bread. Yeah, with butter and sometimes got eggs and things like that.
Oh, okay.
And I had no idea because I didn't know what the word brioche even meant. And I have this bread. I'm like, this bread tastes so good. Like it's got like sugar in it. Like it's like a sweet.
Yeah.
And then the waiter comes out with my entree and I'm like, what the hell do you mean? He's like, oh no, it's got like butter and milk. And it wasn't, I don't think it was really the feeling inside, but the mentality of having consumed it, sprinted to the bathroom and just, sorry for the mentally, visually people, but I vomited it out because I just couldn't, I don't want that thing in my body. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people come to, especially for the health portion of it, although it's probably already absorbed at that stage.
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah, you do it to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
But you guys run a website search engine type thing called plantbasedme.co. We'll get more into it at the end, but can you give us a run through of what it actually is and what the purpose of it is?
So we started Plant-Based Me more as like a directory type software for the vegan community to go on and find what they need all in one place. So let's say you want to put your location in, you're going to New York, you put your current location in or New York or a destination you're going to. And it could be somewhere you want to eat, a clothing shop you want to go to, an activity. It could literally be anything that you're looking to do or purchase, and a whole bunch of listings that are 100% vegan will show up instead of going into Google and being like vegan shop near me, vegan clothing near me. So it's just trying to, sift through everything that's not vegan and have a 100% vegan software for people to use. And over time, it's developed into more of a business management software as well to help 100% vegan businesses thrive in the industry. So that's just a sum up of it, but I guess we'll get into that.
So like a vegan Google, really?
Vegan Google, that would be amazing. Yeah.
To find like cafes, clothing, etc. Just to find 100% vegan things.
And how long have you guys been, how long is this in the works? Or this is live, a live product?
Yeah.
How long has it, when was the birth?
So the birth
When
was
was the
probably like July. We were having a discussion with our business partners and it just came to, we just had that idea and we were talking about it. And then I think the launch wasn't until maybe a month or two later. I can't be sure.
August, September.
August, September was actually the launch. But during this whole period, it is still a launching period because we're getting everything up and running still.
And we had a month off in between as well to get things sorted. So it's only really been out for 4 months.
4 months. So it's pretty new, but we've been in contact with a lot of businesses, which is really exciting.
Yeah. And it's you two are the main people doing the listings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
And how many listings is there at the moment?
Oh, there's nearly 1,500 listings at the moment. And I mean, that's going to rise. Like, as we said, it's been 4 months and we've been tackling other issues in the businesses. So that's going to rise heaps. On there very
And that's
shortly.
going to be global.
Yes.
Well, it's
so it
already
is.
started. So some listings on there you might find from South America, Europe, mostly Australia, because we're trying to focus on
Yep.
where we are right now in Melbourne. And but yeah, you'll be able to find things all over, even Berlin and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I was looking a lot and searching up, and it's a really cool platform, and the future of it's going to look really cool as well, like an app or even just having somewhere more convenient to search as opposed to scouring Google and maybe not even making the right decision. Having someone doing the research for you is really cool. And you've obviously come into contact with a lot of vegan businesses locally. We're talking the other day with like markets and things like that.
Yeah.
Of your experience of all these vegan companies, where do you start your research into finding a company that's vegan?
It's just a lot of Google searches, calling up, emailing, and just contacting businesses.
Bit of stalking, like you said,
Yeah.
on Instagram.
Our generation's really good at stalking. So
Really looking on the about pages, like our keywords are obviously vegan, plant-based, sustainable, ethical, eco-friendly. So we look at these kind of words and search for businesses in areas as well. So we might be like vegan cafe in Melbourne or sustainable clothing in Melbourne. So we do those kind of keywords and location-specific places. And then we obviously go into looking into their about page and learning more about them to see if their practices are ethical and sustainable as well as vegan.
yeah.
And sometimes if you can't find that, we end up giving them a call and just asking, not as plant-based me, but just as the general public, and saying, like,
As a customer,
are you 100% vegan? Like, are you sustainable, ethical? Just that stuff to clear it up. Otherwise, we don't want to put them on the website if we don't know. So.
And with all that said, where do you really draw the line when you're looking into different businesses in terms of their use of maybe a plastic straw or not having sustainable products, like even down to cutlery? In your research, where do you say you're a vegan company, but you're not a vegan company?
Yeah. Well, it depends. What does vegan mean to you?
To me,
Yeah.
well, I think vegan is doing the best they can, but also having and being a product or say in the case of a restaurant, full sustainability. So I think being vegan for an individual is doing the best you can. But I think when it comes to a business, like a clothing line or restaurant, it means doing the absolute best you can with today's resources.
Yeah.
So I would be very strict with plastic straws and cutleries. I wouldn't be super strict with having sustainable agricultural practices, because that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not the best in terms of, I don't have the most knowledge about that, but I think hitting the minimum standard of no plastic utensils or single-use plastics in your shop, even like takeaway containers and things like that, I think that's the bare minimum, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think a lot of we're going in that direction anyways. Like, I think a lot of shops are replacing their plastic cutlery with permanent cutlery.
It's the way of the future.
And plastic bags and containers anyway, so that's pretty good.
And straws.
I don't
Maybe
think
straws.
that's one thing that we don't really find out when we're adding listings. We don't know what their plastic usage is. I guess sometimes it comes with the assumption, like, if they're vegan, they're doing better than a lot of non-vegan businesses
Yeah,
in
for
terms
sure.
of sustainable side of running their business.
And if they already are 100% vegan, then I think the next stage progression of what they're doing for the business would be to move towards plastic free.
Yeah.
So it's just one step at a time for us and businesses. So
Yes.
I think just if it's purely vegan, 100% cruelty free, that's where we draw the line for at the moment.
That's
and we
where started.
encourage,
Yeah.
we encourage, to take the extra step, extra mile.
I guess with the criteria, with the line, it's first, like, are they 100% vegan? Like, that's just the bare minimum. And then we look for if they're sustainable, if they're eco-friendly, if they've got ethical practices. Like, I'm always looking to see if they've got ethical practices in terms of clothing, for sure. That's the biggest one. So I'm always making sure that they are. But yeah, that's the basics with it.
So you guys were digital nomads for a little bit, I guess, or attempted to. I'm not sure what you'd kind of put it down to. What did you learn on that journey, and what mistakes did you make?
All right. So yes, we watched a lot of YouTube videos of like Kinging It,
Flying the
nest,
Travel vloggers.
Travel, yeah.
travel vloggers. And we thought, well, this is an awesome lifestyle, why don't we just save up some money and travel and try to make videos and, you know, be a social influence, I think. So we worked at Mitre 10 factory for probably a year, both of us in the same factory. And we saved up about $20,000.
And was that like, did you decide beforehand, like, hey, when we hit 20,000,
No.
we're good to?
Well, we decided like, it was like on a March or something.
We booked our flights for May to go to Bali, and we wanted to have 50,000, and we're like,
Yeah.
So you fell a bit short.
And then we're like, you know what? We don't want to live here right now. Let's just leave early. And we left in like December.
We
so
moved
like
our
6
flights.
months earlier. And we're like, let's just enjoy our time. And because we're doing Asia, Southeast Asia. So we thought we could save some money and do cheap backpacking. But shortly after we realized we're not the cheap backpacker type. We're more of a high class.
well, not.
Nice fancy.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say that. We stayed at a place for $9 per night, which we arrived at 12 p.m. It was our first place we arrived at
In Bali.
in So
By 12 p.m. you mean midnight.
yeah,
So
midnight
12 a.m.
a.m.
Just gonna
Sorry,
correct the
12 a.m. Yes, in the middle of the night we arrived there, $9 accommodation, and we're like, no, we can't do this. The shower's placed above the toilet. There's no air conditioning. There's not even a fan. Like, we're sweating. It's a really small room, and we couldn't even sleep for the whole night. So
It
we
was
was
a
like,
shock.
let's
It was a
bump it up a bit, and we bumped it up to $20, bumped it up to $30, and then in Bali you can get quite a lot for very
50.
minimal money. Yeah, it's not like you have to spend thousands of dollars for really nice accommodation. I think the minimum's like $30 and you can get a nice bungalow. But yeah, so we realized we're not budget backpackers. We're just moderate. We want to be comfortable. We don't want to be feeling uncomfortable when we're sleeping at night and stuff. So then we realized we didn't have enough money to travel.
And we realized straight away we weren't happy making videos or taking photos without a purpose. Because our purpose at the time, we did have a purpose, and that was just, you know, to work online and travel. But that wasn't a big enough purpose for us to stay motivated and encouraged to continue doing what we were doing. We felt very shy and uncomfortable when we were doing videos.
And plus, we didn't even know how to use our camera. And we
were
I guess
rookies,
We
yeah.
were rookies, and it felt like a chore to go take a photo every single day. Like, we'd walk 2 hours to get to a beach in like Uluwatu, and we didn't want to take the photo. And it was just, you don't want to do that if that's not really what you want to do, and if you're not enjoying it, I don't think there's a point doing it. But then we found our purpose over.
Yeah, obviously we were privileged to be able to travel, but we didn't have a great time traveling. And that was my first time traveling to Southeast Asia. But we did a bit more traveling, and then we did some road tripping in Australia. So we came back to Australia and did some road tripping, and we found a purpose, I think.
Yeah, so once we left after a month in Bali, because we already booked our flights and we're trying to do that digital nomad thing, social influencer thing, we went to Singapore for 2 days first, just to have fun, let off some steam, go to Universal Studios,
which was great.
Which was
Have
fun.
you been?
Which one? Universal Studios?
Yeah,
Which one?
in Singapore.
Singapore.
Oh, no, I haven't been to Singers yet.
Oh,
Yeah, so good.
highly recommend.
But yeah, we just went there for fun because we're like, we have to have fun now after a month of torture in Bali, being sunburned, all this stuff. Then we went to New Zealand and we tried to change it up a bit. This is before we went to Australia. We went to New Zealand and we're like, let's add some lifestyle to our content, like some fitness, because you were a personal trainer, some fitness, foodie stuff. And then we tried to put a schedule together and it didn't end up working. We like locked ourselves in our Airbnb for 2 weeks and that didn't work either because we're like, what's our purpose? Didn't know what it was yet. And we weren't vegan at this stage either.
Yeah.
And then we went back to Australia, and we're like, let's do a road trip around Australia and just sleep in our car. So we did that, and we had such a good time driving up the east coast of Australia, which is currently now on fire. But we're so glad we had went before.
It was it felt like so much freedom. Like we used to park next to the beach and then wake up early in the morning, watch the sunrise and go for a swim.
Go for a swim, yeah.
And we just had the best time ever.
Yeah, but from doing this, it led us to our business partners who we lived on their property, and for free accommodation, we scooped up their horse poo because they had about 9 horses at the time. So yeah, we helped them pack up their stuff because they were moving overseas. That's how we got into contact with them. We became really good friends with them. And then that's how they had a lot of businesses. So they were like, do you want to start a business with us? And then plant-based meat came from that.
Yeah. So
and
if
then
if it wasn't for like our first, traveling and making mistakes and coming back, we would have never been where we are now. And we have different values now. I mean, now, yes, we want to travel and become an influencer, I guess you would say. But for a different purpose, we want to volunteer throughout Southeast Asia and show the world what you can do to better others and to help help others, I guess.
Help others' lives in that
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
So with all that being said, inherently, like I'm assuming it's majority vegans listening to this, and we all want to push, I guess, a positive agenda of like health, environmentalism, and ethics and morality, and finding your purpose and being an influence at the same time has a really positive impact, because Donald Trump's influence, say, isn't maybe as positive as someone like maybe James Aspie. And, you know, for everyday people, when you guys found your purpose recently, for someone who's going through and maybe not knowing how to influence a positive change in their community or the vegan community specifically, what questions would you ask them, or what did you ask yourself when you tried to find your purpose?
I think it comes to you, I think, through life experiences. I mean, your upbringing, what you do after school, let's say, and like if you went through troubled times, you always come out better and you learn lessons from those experiences. So I think those experiences shaped, you know, the way I think now and led me to what I believe in right now, and which is to help my life beliefs. I have 3, which is to help others.
To look after yourself and be happy.
Yeah,
You'll
the
remember
first
that
one,
first,
be happy, help others, and leave the world in a better place that we came in. And that's just what I told myself one day, and it's stuck with me ever since. So
In terms of asking yourself that question to find what it is that you want to find your purpose, I think it's got to be what makes you happy. Like, are you doing right now? Is it making you happy or not? If it isn't, find what makes you happy. And you might go through a bunch of different things and you try and you think it'll make you happy, but it might not, but it'll lead you in another direction. And that thing might not make you happy either. And you just keep going on this journey, and one day it will just click.
And
But you have to start somewhere.
You can take the positives from every experience.
Yeah, every negative experience, well, something that may seem negative, you can take a positive lesson and experience from that negative experience. That's what we believe.
Yeah.
But I think you have to start somewhere though. Like with veganism, we started with veganism for ethics, and then then it came to like environment and health. And has to start somewhere, like I said.
And it came organically though. It wasn't like, let's do this. It just over time.
Yeah, definitely.
It came to us. And
well, like we were going to say before, when we were before we met our business partners and working on their property, we were going to look for fruit berry picking as a job to make some money through our road trip. And we found a lot of milking cow jobs and farm jobs with sheep and cattle and everything. Yep. And we didn't want to do it, like, at all. We didn't ask us why.
And this was before you were
This
vegan?
was before we were vegan. So subconsciously,
yeah.
like, our body was like, no, like, you don't want to do that at all.
Yeah.
And then when we're in Bali, we just stopped eating meat, like, randomly. Like, we just randomly stopped eating meat. And then all these things kind of happened and led us to where we are now. And I guess you also have influences from other people. So, like, we watched Yes Theory and just...
Shout out to Yes Theory. We love you guys.
Shout out to Yes Theory, yeah.
Seek discomfort.
Yeah, like the way that they seek discomfort, it is always telling us to push ourselves out of our comfort zones. And that's how you find true value in life, I think, and the things you do and the people you're friends with. And that's it, basically.
If it wasn't for that, we would have never met you and be on this podcast right now. So very thankful.
Yeah, very.
Just like the other interview I did, just for context again for people, the thing just keeps freezing. So if anyone's an Adobe expert, please freaking send me a message, because I don't know how to fix this.
Also, sorry about the heavy breathing. With the smoke, I have a lot of asthma lately. So if you can hear me breathing, I apologize.
It's not Darth Vader, it's Dec Mal.
Go vegan for Dec's asthma. To stop the smoke.
Yeah, thank you.
So I wanted to touch on 2 things that we were talking about before. First thing is props on the seek discomfort, because to be vegan is to go north to your moral compass, which is very hard considering societal norms are quite south. Second thing, we were chatting about it the other day when we met, but what is the app or program, just for a tangible tip for people who want to travel on maybe a budget or like just indefinitely travel, what is the app or website that you use to find the work that you met the guys with, that they were on? What was
so that was Woofer or Woofing. WOOFING or ER. I'm not too sure what it is, because we haven't actually used it, because you need a membership. But that's the term used for people who want to go look for work in exchange for accommodation. Yeah.
Normally
So
it's just like a
you'd
few
be like a
hours.
woofer.
Yeah,
Or we're
woofers.
woofing and we're woofers or something like that. We haven't actually used the program itself.
So
but
how
that's
did
the
you
term.
find the work when you guys were traveling?
We went on Gumtree.
Gumtree.
Yeah.
But you have to be very safe because I know there's a lot of horror stories involved with people,
Yeah.
sick people on Gumtree looking to take advantage of tourists. But we were very fortunate and we were very safe.
And there's two of us.
And there's two of us.
Yeah.
And we're very safe. We just looked up, I think it was just work for accommodation or something like
work
that.
for a roof over your head.
Yeah, it was just work for rent or just keywords like that into Google, and it might come up on Gumtree. Just went on Gumtree and messaged some people about it. But there's also Facebook groups for it.
Yeah.
What else did we look on? There's websites. There's actual websites dedicated to
Well,
it
we
as well.
did a lot of pet sitting. So we pet
yes.
sitted
Yes.
coming back to Melbourne. And that was just like the greatest experience ever because at the start it was a bit slow. And then once you have a few pet sittings under your belt, everyone wants you and they'll contact you to pet sit.
Yeah.
And they'll be like,
And
hi.
you put your location on. That's how people find
and it has
you.
like a map. You can apply for job listings. So like someone will put up, my golden retriever needs to be looked after for a month between these dates. This is what it's like. Pictures of my house for you to stay in. And basically it's good for the owners because they don't have to pay for someone to look after their pet, and it's good for us or tourists, travelers, to stay somewhere for free and get
And
a
look after
furry
an animal,
companion.
We looked after little miniature
We had
horses.
5 miniature horses who were gorgeous. We'd
That's so
braid their
cute,
hair
yeah.
every day.
They'd lick my knees.
Yeah. And cats and dogs and chickens and
There must be
everything.
music to so many people's ears.
Yeah, it was amazing.
How many chickens? 20 chickens, I think we had
20
once.
chickens once. That's where we actually rescued our cat from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
20 chickens.
We did a house sit and the owners loved their horses, their chickens and their dogs, but they didn't want their cat anymore. So we took the cat home with us, and her name's Lily, and she's a Scottish fold who's a little bit deformed, but she's beautiful.
Yeah, we might start an Instagram account for Lily.
For Lily, the
Look
Scottish
look
fold.
out for
Yeah,
look
look
out
out.
for that Instagram tag.
But if you guys wanted to know the house sitting app, it's Aussie House Sitters or Mind a Home. We went on both of those, and you have to pay a yearly membership. I think Aussie House Sitters also has a New Zealand House Sitters one by the same company, and it's about $80 a year, and the other one's even cheaper. I think at $50 a year for Mind a Home. But
That's pretty
you
good.
pay
'Cause
that
if
for
you
the year.
travel, Yeah, for
Yeah.
a year. Your accommodation doesn't cost $50 a night.
Yeah,
night,
exactly right. So
And
we saved
So if
so
you get
much
one
money.
stay, which is more than a night, you make your money back.
Well, yeah. Well, when we're
Yeah.
driving back from Brisbane to Melbourne, we did like a bunch of house sits for months. We did a month-long one near Nimbin, so where Byron was.
Yeah.
Looked after those horses, then went down even on the Great Ocean Road. We stayed for a
Yeah.
month as well. Looked after these 2 dogs, and it's great because you get a nice house to stay in
Yeah.
for free.
Some are better than others.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
You don't
as
know
well.
what you're getting yourself into, so it's a risk, but that's always part of the adventure of life.
Yeah.
So,
I guess it depends on your comfort level.
Yeah.
So if you're more high class, you got to look for those house sits that are in like
Nice
Toorak or
areas.
something.
Yeah, Toorak.
But yeah.
Yeah, I did look at housesitters.com a little while back before we moved in here. We're like, oh, let's just house sit place to place. But the problem was some are like 7 days, some are 2 weeks, and we want like a month at a time
Yeah.
because, I mean, I'm getting too old for this crap. But moving around week per week would
Yeah.
get free, and you have to miss
Yeah.
each animal, like the freaking
Yeah.
connection
It's
you make. As soon as
hard.
you make the connection,
Yeah.
you're gone. And that, I guess, I'll say is like a little bit of a pointer, because I've house sit before as well with my partner, and we
Yeah.
fell in love with 2 dogs and had to leave them. It was like, oh, so
Yeah.
heartbreaking. So
Yeah.
there's pros and cons to everything, and I'd say that would be probably one of the main cons there, because from what I understand, it's like free Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll let you help yourself to like the condiments and
Yeah.
things like that. You
Yeah.
just have to get food, and that's like you're
You're
good.
set. Yeah.
right.
for sure.
And you don't get to fully it doesn't feel like you unpack and get comfortable
I think that's
because you're
the
always
downside.
moving and packing your bag and moving on. So
Sometimes we just
Yeah.
want our own place, like our own home base. So after house sitting for a while, we had enough, and that's why we've been staying in Melbourne for the last 6 months
Yeah.
after doing that. But I'd always go and do it again.
yeah, me
It's
too.
lots of fun and meeting all these different animals you'd never would have met otherwise.
Mm.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. But going more onto, I guess, the veganism life, you've both been vegan for about a year. How did you find overcoming your douchebag title of people thinking that you're superior to them? Have you experienced that much?
A
I
little bit.
maybe a little bit with family
Just
sometimes,
family, yeah.
but there's support. Like my mates are all supportive, so that's nice to have good friends like that. And My family were a little iffy at first, but no, they're pretty supportive as well. I'd say my mum cooked the
Yeah.
best Christmas dinner for us, and like a massive platter of all these different things. And she didn't even know what veganism was at first. She
We had
thought,
to
"Can you
keep
eat
telling.
gluten? I mean, can you?" And
Gluten, what?
it's been great now, and I think anyone who's out there is going through it, it just gets better. I think.
I think we haven't really had that douchebag title or anything associated with that, but I have a lot of people on my side of the family who are very anti-vegan and pro Joe Rogan show and Chris Kresser and
Chris
all that
Kresser,
kind of
yeah.
stuff, and on the carnivore diet, and they just totally go against veganism. And sometimes I find it hard because I don't like being confrontational and having arguments with people. So if I post a vegan thing on my Facebook, I might have people jump on and start attacking me, and I'm like, no, like I don't want to start an argument. Like, this is
Just
go
education.
vegan, just education. And so that's probably the hard thing that I've gone through. And Facebook bullies sometimes, people you
Keyboard
don't even
warriors.
know.
Yeah.
There's always one of them out there.
Yeah, always. But other than that, we've been pretty good.
As long as you're sure with yourself, I think nothing will bother you.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
if you know
yeah.
why you're gone vegan and in the first place, then don't need to worry about other people.
Even if it's your own mum who says, shame on you,
Shame on you.
as long as you
Dairy
know,
farmers out of business. Shame on you.
which she does, and I love
My
her mum.
milk went up 10 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wanted to add a quick note when you mentioned the Joe Rogan Chris Kresser. I was reading up today that Joe Rogan was actually quoted saying that he was considering taking down his episode with Chris Kresser because of the huge level of misinformation that he was giving. I'm like, yes, you do that. Even though he's doing like a big next month, despite of and Veganuary as well, on the note of vegan news, is having the biggest. It's 350,000 people.
I was going to say that
It's a stat,
last
yeah.
year finished on 250,000,
That's
but this
almost a
year
double.
started on 300,000 and is already on 350,000.
Oh, it's 350. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now it's on 350. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
The
awesome.
movement's growing.
Yeah,
again,
it's
every
so
day.
exciting.
Really exciting. On to the more of the business vegan side for you guys. You've been running this since August, September, October, you guys mentioned. And what have you learned so far in your journey, just in terms of tangible tips that we can leave people with? But also, what was that app that we're talking about that my mind is blown right now? Because for people who have a really big scattered brain, where they just need to they get shower ideas all the time.
Yeah.
What is that app that you guys use?
So it's called Trello, Trello. And it's an app you can put on your phone and your computer.
We're not sponsored by
We're not
Trello or
sponsored,
anything.
no.
None of this is sponsored.
We just love them.
Hot tips.
Well, the guy who invented it or made it, is the owner of it, is actually Aussie.
Oh,
So that's really awesome.
Aussie company, yeah.
Aussie company. So you basically have an account. You can log in on your phone, on the app, or on the desktop version on your computer. So I have it on my phone and on my laptop. And it's basically a bunch of little boards. And the system that I use is I call one board inbox. And every time I have a thought, I put a little note into the inbox saying whatever that thought was. And I have so many random thoughts at random times of the day that come into my head. So I'm always on Trello just putting it into the inbox. Another note, I think I've got 20 on there right now that I've probably put on there from last 2 days only.
Wow.
So
okay.
then the plan is to set a time maybe at the end of the week. So once a week, do a weekly reset. And so the first step would be to sanitize, get everything out of your mind into the inbox. The second step would be to sort. So you'd have other little, folders in that Trello app called maybe business, personal, podcast, family, spare time, I don't know, anything like that. And you move each task from the inbox into the relevant category. And then the third step would be to schedule. So you would then go through each of your categories and schedule in the time that you need to do each activity. So it might be mow the lawn is in your personal, and you schedule in the time to do that. And it's a lifesaver now because I can get all my thoughts out and I know where they are instead of writing it on random pieces of paper and losing them and never seeing them again.
I think once you get your thoughts out, you feel less anxious and you can concentrate on the things that you need to concentrate on.
Yeah,
So
for
it's just
sure.
a really good, yeah.
It's not like you're multitasking or you're thinking about 500 things while you're trying to get a single task done. It makes everything more productive for sure.
How are you having... Yeah, that's really cool. And I'm really going to start using Trello on that note before we finish up. But you're doing the website now full-time from home. There's a lot of distractions in a house.
For sure.
How are you guys finding your level of productivity while being at home? How are you combating the distractions?
I think a good morning routine, a good night's sleep. I mean, we read a lot, listen
Going
to
for
positive
walks.
material.
When you work at home and
Yeah.
sit on your bum all day, you need to go
How
for
many
walks.
walks we're talking?
We go out like 4 times a day for a quick around the block.
Oh, yeah, just like a 5-10 minute walk just to get outside.
And we talk a lot and we get lots of ideas whenever we go for a walk. So we've finished working, but when we go out for a walk, we might talk about what are you grateful for today? Or then we'll have some business ideas or some lifestyle ideas or some stuff we want to talk about or something Declan might have read in a book he wants to tell me. So it's like a break time that we get to talk about random stuff and it's really good.
I think it's just a balance between,
And gets us moving.
work, life, family, social life, just a balance of everything.
Yeah, but there are a lot of distractions. So there's lots of spaces we can work in my family home. So we've got a desk in our room. It's not great to work in your room a lot of the time because I want to keep that like our sleeping area. But we've also got like a study and we've got a kitchen table. So when my family goes to work, we have the whole house to ourselves and we can work wherever we want. And we're often moving to different spots without taking our laptops everywhere. And yeah, that's how we deal with it.
How do you find working together as a couple? Because obviously you've got this now dream or target that you're trying to achieve, which is plant-based meat, and you want that to succeed together. And you're both obviously going to come with conflicting ideas. And you've also got your relationship, which, you know, looking outside in always looks perfect. There's always going to be problems within a relationship, the arguments that you have. How do you guys go working together and what are some things you've learned in regards to that?
Well, our relationship's perfect. So no, I'm kidding.
No.
Yeah, all the influencers say.
No.
Since we met, we have been together every single day for 24 hours, really, except for I think 2 nights over a festival I went to. So we get along very well.
And when you poo.
No, even then we
Okay.
sometimes
Hello,
together.
going in there. No.
You're alive.
You're alive.
Everything okay? Yeah, we play. I mean, we both have strengths and weaknesses, and we help each other out where needed, and we always listen to each other, and we respect each other. So I think it's quite easy for us. It's not that difficult at all, to be honest.
Sometimes it's difficult. No, it's all right.
Not for me, yeah.
I guess when you're literally with someone all the time, sometimes you're just like, yo, I need my space. I'm just going to go like chill in the other room. Like that's okay. It's because we live with each other and we have since the day we met for 2 years straight, we haven't been out of each other's shoes. So, and we work together as well. It's not like we wake up, you go somewhere, I go somewhere. We're literally together all the time. So sometimes we respect each other's space as well. Like I might need to have an hour read in another room because I'm like feeling a bit claustrophobic being in this tiny little bedroom. But yeah, like with work, Declan can sit there for hours on end doing tedious tasks, but has no problem. He'll put his music in, listen to a podcast, do this one task all day and be really productive. Whereas that would kill me and drain me. So I like doing lots of different tasks. So if Declan's doing one task for a whole day, I might do 5 and I work better that way and Declan works better that way, the opposite way. So that's our strengths and our weaknesses and how we work things out, especially with plant-based meat.
And I'm guessing you kind of got to that point by trial and error.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course.
Declan used to make me add listings. I was like, Declan, it's been 2 hours. I can't add any more listings. But you could do it for 8 hours more.
Yeah.
Like you could do it all day. So we've just recently figured out that I've got to do something else. I've got to do lots of short tasks to keep me like just on the go. Yeah.
Which is fine because it's very productive. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really good.
It is.
We've got a good system.
Yeah.
Do you, well, yeah, and it's hard to get a really good system. Working from a computer and I guess having and being kind of very digital, do you ever think, let's freaking go digital nomads again? Like, does that thought come across your mind or you're like, let's just focus in now? Like, what's your plan with that?
Well, our plan is actually to once plant-based meat is on a roll and it's doing fine and we don't have to be working on it every single day, we actually want to continue on with our digital nomad lifestyle and we want to get a home base in Kuala Lumpur and
cool,
and live there, and because you can go on a tourist visa there for 3 months at a time. So get an apartment there and be able to travel because it's a lot cheaper to fly in and out of KL. So travel around Southeast Asia, work on the wild ones, which is our personal project and like our life purpose, and do our volunteer videos and start doing that digital nomad style again.
So in the short future.
Yeah, but that's why plant-based meat is great, because we can just do it wherever we want. But we need plant-based meat to...
And it also aligned with our
yeah.
values, so everything's perfect.
What lessons did you learn in the past that you're now going to take to the next digital nomad? Like, because this is digital nomad 2.0.
Yeah.
For you guys, what are you going to change? I did see that you mentioned apartment instead of $9 a night hostel. Is that like kind of like the biggest lesson you've learned going from digital nomad to digital nomad?
I think the biggest lesson is having a purpose. I mean, once you have a drive to do something, you'll do it. If you believe in yourself and you believe in what you're doing, you're going to do it. So we didn't believe in ourselves or what we were doing. So,
but on smaller scale, I think it's about knowing what your budget is, because you might think you can spend very little money, but realistically you might need to spend more because of how comfortable you're feeling in certain situations, or you might like going out for dinner and not cooking sometimes. So that's another thing that we've learned, is that our budget was out of whack the first time, and now we know how much we actually need to go with. And everywhere's different, so it depends on the country as well.
How are you working that out for Kuala Lumpur? How do you work out your budget?
We worked out the rent. So the rent's pretty cheap there. Average is about $800 a month.
Yeah.
Which is so cheap.
for a nice place,
Yeah, that's what I
high-rise
as well.
apartment.
Which is just like a
wanna
one-bedroom
go there?
apartment.
Yeah.
You
I'll
can
be-
come visit
oh,
us.
yeah, I'll have to meet
We'll
you
get a
there.
room. It'll say Tom on there.
Yeah, July 2021. Next
For the
year, we'll see you
Cimex.
there.
Yeah,
Get that
yeah.
over.
Done. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's super cheap. We're looking just, and they're pretty like, because they're apartment complexes, like really high-rise buildings, they're quite nice.
They've
And
got like
quite
a pool.
new.
And
Yeah,
all
we
the
want
facilities.
we want access to a gym and a
Gym,
pool,
yeah.
so we don't have to go out of our way to spend more on a gym membership.
Yeah.
So that's something we've
Cheap
learned.
food, cheap like taxis.
Oh, well, we said we'd go out for lunch during the day, so we'd break up our working day into half. We already talked about this, talked about it as if we were living in KL.
Yeah, okay.
So wake up.
Talk us through that process, because for a lot of people, traveling for a month at a time is going to be a lot cheaper than traveling. Even though some people in Australia might only have a week or two to have a holiday, but for people who want that month, 2-3 stay in one place, how do you? Let's work out the costs here. Is it viable, and how you guys? What your plan was? That's super
Yeah.
interesting to me.
Well, it was first because our apartment will probably be like, instead of being an Airbnb, we want to go on a lease or like rent for about a year and see if we like KL. But we're initially going to go for 2 weeks, see how we go. Is it actually the place we want to go to, or was it just a big dream of
in
ours?
an Airbnb.
In an Airbnb, and then we look for apartments in that period once we decide that it's for us. And then once we get there, our routine would probably look like, wake up in the morning, do our usually morning routine, which is like meditate, journal, read, and then go to the gym.
Every morning you do that.
Yeah.
How long?
Well, we just really started that
morning
over the
routine.
last couple of months, or last month, I guess.
Goes for like over an hour probably.
Oh, it goes for an hour, yeah.
okay, yeah.
That's what,
Yep.
yeah.
Well, I asked both things.
Oh,
I like how you
woo!
both asked like the answers.
We
in
think
different
very
ways. Yeah,
differently.
okay.
I was going to say we
Dynamic.
finish each other's.
Sentences.
No, don't start that.
Yeah. What else? And then go to the gym, because I think that's really important. If you don't have access to a gym or a park or anything, you might lose your fitness if you're into fitness.
True.
And it'd be really hard because you're sitting on
Even
a
if
plane.
you're not into fitness,
Yeah,
it's
even if you're
important
not.
to stay fit.
Of course.
Yeah,
Healthy
for
habits
sure.
for everyone is like one of the pillars of health. Yeah.
Right, of
Exactly
course.
right. And then we'd do some work in our apartment and then go out for lunch. So because it's so cheap to eat out there. I know it's probably very similar to Indonesia, where a traditional restaurant would be like $1.30 for lunch. It's very similar in Malaysian. Is it rupiah? No, it's not rupiah.
Malaysia's ringgit.
Ringgit,
Ringgit,
that's
yeah.
it, yeah. So that would be the plan. Come home, do more work, and then I guess go out in the evening. Like, we don't want to be working a 10-hour day. We want to be hanging out in the afternoon and having
Enjoying
a lifestyle,
life,
doing
yeah.
hobbies and
Living
stuff
the
like
dream.
that. Living the dream, yeah, that's the plan.
But also, have you got in your planning? Have you got an escape plan if it doesn't work, or
Come
are you
back
just
to
going to be
Australia.
like plan A, and then, or you're saying come back to okay? Yeah.
That's setting up for failure.
Yeah, it's true. And that's what I was gonna say. Like, I was gonna probe that, because I think for a lot of people, if you're gonna gun, especially in terms of like a business, you kind of don't always want a plan B, because it is setting up for
Yeah.
failure.
I think you need a safety
It's the
net,
mental
like
shit.
money,
Yeah.
of course. You
Yeah.
need like a security blanket or safety net.
Well, that's what we
You can
have.
fall
What
back
do you?
on.
What do you?
Yeah.
Because you had 20,000 the first time. What are you thinking as like a blanket for travel for now? 3 months, you said, or
3 months you can stay in Malaysia on a tourist visa, but that's not the same for all of Southeast Asia. That's just
Yeah.
Malaysia on
Yes,
its own.
yeah.
jobs can take forever if you're looking for them. So maybe 2 months worth of living expenses.
I mean, we have a supportive family
and
as
we have
well.
a supportive
here.
family. So,
We're very
but if you needed to rent, you need to work out a bond and stuff. So I'd save up like 10 to 15K as an emergency bank account somewhere. I don't know if that's enough.
In the Swiss bank account.
Swiss bank account.
I think it's important, and even though it's not a finance show, when you're traveling, like we just got a call last night of a friend stuck in London, and she doesn't have the money to get out.
Yeah.
Someone's cancelled her flights. Now she's stuck, and I
Yeah.
think
Scary.
it's important to travel, because if you can't afford an emergency fund, I'd say you can't afford to travel.
Yeah,
Because it's scary when you're overseas, you're in a non-English speaking country, and if you guys are lucky enough to have a supportive family, but when you're traveling, it might only be you. If you're traveling solo, if you're traveling as a couple, you got double the expenses you need to pay if something goes wrong. So I think having a cushion to land on if something happens is really important.
It doesn't need to have a label on it like I'm going to use this when my flights get cancelled, I'm stuck in a country and my visa's up. No, it could just be for literally anything that if you run out of money in your initial bank account, you know that you have this emergency bank account that you can rely on if anything bad were to happen. So it's good to have it there.
We'll call it fire extinguisher.
Fire extinguisher. If you read The Barefoot Investor.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool, and that's really important, especially when it does come to travel, because it can be very scary.
Right.
Coming on, I guess, the end of the episode, we've talked about a lot of really cool tangible tips. Before we go into where we can find you guys, is there anything that you want to leave the listeners to start think about, whether it's vegan or travel or business related, that you guys have, I guess, a craving to have a message out there?
Personally, probably on the behalf of both of us, it'd be to always do what you love and don't stick to the norm. And like Yes Theory say, seek discomfort, because that's super important. And go watch Yes Theory's videos. We're not sponsored by them, but they just always have a really good message. And
they encourage us quite a lot as well.
They encourage us. If we're feeling down, we watch a Yes Theory video, because they get us into the mood and know that anything is possible. You watch like influencers on Instagram and stuff, and if you want to be them and you think, no, I can't be like them, they started somewhere as well. Like you could literally do anything that you want to do. You just have to believe in it and not doubt yourself.
Just got to take the first step.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's not vegan related, but
it's not, and it doesn't have to be.
lesson.
It's a life related, and sometimes with like the vegan community, it's not always a positive stigma, because just because someone's vegan doesn't mean that they're a bloody pure soul.
Yeah.
You can be a douche, and that doesn't stop it. It's just like money. That doesn't make you good or bad. It exposes you.
Yeah.
Veganism puts you in the right way, but you can still have a lot of negative things inside your heart, and it's just about having that good community feel. So that's really cool. So thank you so much for coming on board on this podcast. Where can we find you? Where are your socials, your websites, and all that kind of stuff?
So everything's found from plantbasedme.co. So that's our website and our Facebook and our Instagram. So again, that's plantbasedme.co.
Are you reading an ad? They've got a sheet of paper in front of them because they're a bit nervous.
I didn't actually read that then, but
you didn't
thanks
read
for
that.
pulling me under the bus.
Plantbasedme.co. One more time, get 10% off with the discount code Have Trouble Vegan. Plantbasedme.co.
Well, if you're a bit confused about what plant-based me is still, because it's a bit of a complicated concept to try to explain, I can quickly go over it if that would help your viewers, your listeners.
It's not a interactive on Facebook, but sure.
Yeah.
That's not an option.
Yes,
It's not an option. Just like give us a quick minute sum up.
Okay,
Yep.
So I've got it here in front of me. I'll just read it to you guys. So Plant-Based Me is a vegan platform that provides an all-in-one place to everything vegan. This includes cafes, apparels, events, activities, and more. We also focus on helping those who are vegan curious transition to a vegan lifestyle. One of our main goals is to make being vegan as easy and accessible no matter where you are. But Plant-Based Me is also management software designed to help the growth of 100% vegan businesses. Ultimately, our aim is to push the vegan movement. So that kind of sums up Plant-Based Me in a nutshell.
Very good. You should become like a professional reader. All right, guys, one more time. Thank you so much to Dec and Mal for coming on the show. And I will see you guys, I guess, next time.
Yes,
Thank you so
much
us.
for having us. Yeah, and listening.
Peace. And now we're at the very end. Thank you so much for joining us for the whole duration of the episode. I know it's a lot longer than the 3, 4, 5 minute episodes you're used to, But if you want to check out anything Dec and Mal have to offer, it's actually super easy. Instagram, Facebook, and their website is all plantbasedme.co. If you want to support the show, please leave a review, and you can head over to our Instagram or TikTok at How to Travel Vegan if you have any questions. But that is all from me today. Much love. Peace.